The Lord is a safe place. The Lord is a safe place. Okay, we can put this in two ways. Yeah, we can put it in, when it comes to like things like spiritual warfare, when it comes to things like these attacks that we can't really fight in our own strength because it's spiritual. We'll lose every time. That's just how it is. And most of the crazy stuff we see is just basically people who've lost the fight. It's so sad. I mean, yeah, it's really sad. And there's also the other aspect of it where it can be like, the Lord himself is a safe place. What do I mean? It means you can come to him as you are. It can come to him with your faults and your mistakes and your failures and all these things that you think are more of a hindrance to you and God's relationship. No, but the thing is, God will never turn you away. He will never chase you away. He'll never hear something you've done and then say, huh? You did that? Oh my gosh. I mean, I love you, but now that you've done that, I don't think I love you. No. The Lord loves you unconditionally. There are no conditions attached. He loves you as you are, not the version of you that's reading your Bible every day, not the version of you that's praying every day, not the version of you that knows much, basically, like the way you are right now, the person you are right now in this moment, whether you know spiritual things or not, whether you have your stuff figured out or not, whatever it is, the you in this moment is the you that the Lord loves. He didn't die for the perfect version of you. He just died for you, the way you are, faults and all, mistakes and everything that you think is a problem and all. And I just wonder how can we reject such a love? And the fact that we reject it, what are we replacing it with? Because what can we really compare to the love of the Lord? He went to the point of dying for us. It even says in his word, for Christ so loved the world, for God so loved the world, that he gave up his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. He died to have you to himself, to reconcile you back to him, to help you, to be there for you, basically, like any loving parent would do. If when you have a loving parent, they always want to take care of you, they always want to make sure you're good and all these things. And the Lord wants that much more for you because he created us, he loves us to the point of, I mean, I don't know which of you would die for even someone you like. The death he went through for our sakes. First of all, he didn't have to go through that death for us because he's God. He could have just left us alone and said, hey, yo, check, you all messed up, you all did everything wrong now. But he chose to prove his love for us through our own faults and mistakes. And you don't have to be scared to turn to him. You don't have to be like, whatever time he ever calls you, just know that it is a perfect time to go to him. You don't have to stress about all these other things. You can just know that you can come as you are, and you can talk to him, and you can give your heart to him. You can let him go in the secret places, the places where you would never let anyone go, the secrets, all these things. You can tell him all these things. And by a safe place, I mean that he won't judge you. He won't judge you. If you choose his Son Jesus, then you have been reconciled back to him. So he can't judge you because the judgment was already paid for. The sins were already paid for. The mess ups, they were all paid for. The shame, it was all paid for. So you can come to him knowing that he sees you as his wonderful child. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to be worried that what will God. No, he loves you the way you are, faults and all. I mean, if he didn't really love us the way he said he did, none of us would be here. None of us would be here. And that's just a fact. None of us would be here. But out of his love for us, he still chooses to wake us up every morning. He still chooses to provide for us. It may not feel like that sometimes because, we're humans. We always want more and more and more. We barely appreciate what we have, and that's just how it is. But he still makes sure we see the next day. He still takes care of us. Even though we have an enemy who's always trying to take us out, the Lord's still always there protecting and taking care of us. even though we don't call him, even though we don't, say thank you or any of these things, he still does it for us because that's how much he loves us. So we should realize that, there's a love for us that doesn't want to harm you. It wants to take care of you. That's what I mean by a safe place. It's a comforting embrace where you can be comfortable. You can tell the Lord anything, and he won't judge you. He won't turn you away. He'll never reject you. He'll never tell you, nope, you can't come here. He'll never tell you can't come here. Even, especially, here's a crazy thing. When you mess up, those moments where you feel like I can't turn to God because I've done either this or this or this, God is actually in those moments saying, come closer. He's actually saying, come closer. He's calling you to come closer to him. But you see, because of all that shame, that guilt, we can't really hear him, because we feel so bad. But in those moments when we feel so horrible, the Lord is actually calling us to come closer to him, because he's like, coming to me is actually getting it right. Coming to me is actually going to help you get back up on your feet. Coming to me is going to take away that guilt, that shame, all those things. Coming to me will clean you up, will give you joy, will give you peace. These things you just can't find in the world. Where else can you go and get forgiveness of sins and actually feel that shame and that guilt and all those things just being taken away? Where else can you go to have your thoughts calmed? Like sometimes your thoughts come at you like a storm and you feel like, man, where else can you go where those thoughts will be taken away from you and actually being taken away, not just distracting yourselves from them, but actually getting peace from it, peace from your situations. The Lord is a safe place. You can find so much in his presence. You can find so much comfort, love, peace, joy. You'll feel accepted, especially when you feel that shame, that guilt, and you pray to the Lord, and you feel like, man, I haven't done enough of this, I haven't done enough of that. The Lord, man, he doesn't like me, doesn't want. No, he's actually saying, come closer, because he loves us. And when we do that, when in those moments we actually choose to turn to him, you'll realize that you feel so accepted. You feel like you're talking to your best friend. Isn't that crazy? The Lord of this universe wants to be your best friend. How crazy is that? And he has more than enough power to protect you, to provide for you, to do anything for you. But you see, we can't know that if we're always running away from him. We can't actually find out for ourselves what he has for us if we don't take out time to actually get to know him or to spend time with him, because he's the only one who's going to give us the answer to our questions. I mean, if you can't learn to whether you have or haven't, he still loves you regardless. But you see, we should also get to a point where we ask ourselves, we take an initiative to actually do our part as well, because we're not just here for nothing. We're not just here for worldly things. God isn't a worldly being. He's a spiritual being. So obviously his more of his stuff is on the spiritual side. So we should also learn to cultivate that as well, because the world, we've been in it long enough. We've been in it and it's never satisfied. It's never been what we want it to be, because it's just a broken world. But where else can you go that's sure and true no matter what is going on? Other than the Lord, I don't know anything like that. I mean, someone could tell me, because I don't really know, but I know that the Lord for sure is a safe place. He is a place where you can find true protection from the enemy, from troubles, from everything, from your shame, from your guilt. He's the only one who can take all these burdens away from you. He's the only one who can fix you. He's the only one who can mold you and shape you into a person where even you yourself can say, wow, the Lord, you really did it for me. Have you ever seen those guys in church where their hands are so high? Their hands are so high. And they're feeling it here. It's because they know that the Lord really did it for them. It's because they know that God did it for them. And if he can do it for them, he can definitely do it for you as well. He's not a stingy God. He wants all of us to prosper and all of us to be happy. Which kind of parent doesn't want their child to be happy? It even says in his word, what child will come and ask you for for something, I can't remember what it is, and then you give him a snake? Who asks for shoes and then you give him, a beating or something? I forgot what he said exactly, but something like that. Like which kind of good parents will be like, what kind of child would go and ask a nice parent like, yo, give me the new thing, and then you go and buy for them something that they don't even want completely, actually even something that will harm them on top of that, you get? So you need to realize that the Lord is a safe place. You can trust him, you can trust his motives, you can trust his intentions. You may not trust the situation or what you're seeing or anything like that, but you can trust him. You can trust the Lord. You can trust him. He's a safe place. You can trust that. And try it for yourself. You'll actually see that, man, you've been missing out on such an amazing experience. And it's so worth it. Time spent with God is never wasted. It's never wasted, because God holds time in his hands. So if you feel like you're not, you can actually settle down, relax, and realize that the Lord is going to take care of you. That's what trust is. So put your faith and your trust in him, because he truly can be trusted, and he will never harm you. And he will only allow pain to happen if it's for a purpose. And if you can't trust the situation, you can trust him. You can trust the Lord. So put your trust in him. He will never let you down. I promise.